So today I want to talk to you about sort of the foundation that I want to lay for this channel, for this exercise in content creation. Dealing with language obviously can be difficult. I mean, again, I'm horrible with languages, at least any language other than English, not good. I've lived in a foreign country for years and can't express myself with any confidence. And that's one of the reasons that I came up with this idea of a different way to sort of look at language, specifically English in this case. But my hope is it will apply to other languages as well. And maybe if somebody creates that content, I will be able to better learn and understand and communicate in other languages. But for now, this is the groundwork I want to lay. And if you've had any experience with English at all, you probably already know about the rules that we teach and all of the myriad exceptions to the rules that we teach. And when you think about it, grammar is really all about rules. It's the rules that govern over a language. But then we learn about all these rule-breaking ideas, and grammar stops to really make a lot of sense. It's like we're building this big, tall structure, and every once in a while we just come and knock out a floor or poke a hole in the wall. Hopefully we're not knocking down any load-bearing walls and we're just, making a nice open living space as opposed to a bunch of segmented... Anyway, I don't want to get too caught up in this metaphor. The point is that as we learn the quote-unquote rules of grammar and all of the exceptions, as we build this structure and we rearrange sort of the interior, we need to make sure that we're on a good, solid foundation. There's some rules, there's some ideas that have to be firm, that have to be firm enough to hold up whatever we're building on top of it. And we're going to call those the principles of this channel. And I want to make sure that I have three solid layers of bedrock that don't have exceptions. Even though one of them is going to have an exception, but just hear me out. The first one is really simple, and I think it is a necessary principle for any progress in this endeavor of language learning. It's really simple, though. The first principle is words have meaning. That's it. In order to express any kind of an idea, the person expressing the idea has to have a good, confident understanding of what it is they're trying to express. They do that, they accomplish that purpose by their own understanding of whatever words they're using to express that idea. My conviction, my belief, is that if you are trying to express yourself, you should know, as in be able to define, all of the words that you're using. Pretty much all the time. And sometimes those definitions may not be verbal. You may have to express the definition in some other way, and that's fine, as long as you can demonstrate understanding of what it is you're trying to communicate. But the inverse is also true. When you are hearing or when you are reading whatever it is that someone else has expressed, you should have an understanding that the intention in whatever was expressed comes with meaning, comes with purpose, comes with intention. Communication relies on the expressed meaning and the understood meaning being, if not exactly the same, really, really close. So, we have to start with the foundation that words have meaning, and that we can reach some agreement on what the meaning of the words are. Or even if we disagree, our expression of the words can be defined, our understanding of the words can be defined, and if those definitions don't match, will lead to a better understanding and better communication of those ideas, at least to show disagreement. And that is actually the second principle. Disagreement is okay. We express this idea of disagreement in English with what I believe is a really important concept. And that concept is negative words. Now, that doesn't mean bad words. Negative words are simply words of dissent or words of non-agreement. Some of these could be seen as even words of conflict, but I don't think that's necessarily always the case. But the idea here is the ability to say no. And for me, this is paramount. This is paramount not just in language, but also as living as a free human being within any sort of society. The ability to say no is essentially what defines any manner of freedom. Freedom is the ability to dissent. And that's an important concept. As we go through this relationship, I'm going to try to do my best to explain myself hopefully with information and knowledge and wisdom and integrity. But I'm a human being. I'm fallible. I'm going to make mistakes. When I tell that to my third graders, they gasp in awe. Like, a teacher can make a mistake? Of course a teacher can make a mistake. A teacher is a human being. So I encourage you to question and to challenge, hopefully respectfully. But the idea is you should be free to dissent. And I've already sort of mentioned that I believe in free speech, and this is definitely sort of the context in which I am the staunchest proponent of free speech, is that I believe in the freedom of dissent. Within the context of free speech, I still believe in self-restriction. And to me, that is just the responsibility of someone expressing themselves within any kind of company, any kind of community. So any kind of communication requires some self-restraint or some discipline in terms of that relationship, because that's what we're building. And that's why I've already asked in the first video that if you're going to be a part of this community, you're welcome to disagree, you're welcome to ask questions, you're welcome to simply say no. Obviously, you can just not show up. That's your prerogative. What I ask that you don't do is be mean for the sake of being mean, be critical in a way that does not benefit anyone with the critique. I believe in constructive criticism, not simply tearing things down for the sake of wanton destruction. And also to try to cultivate words and language that won't be outright offensive to other people. My hope is that we can keep this sort of G-rated. If it were a film, we'll see how that goes because it is the internet. Lastly, the third principle is communication is a two-way street. We already sort of dealt with this in that first introductory video, but I just want to remind you that really there are 4 skills we want to help you develop that pertain to acquiring English as a skill in terms of language learning. Those 4 ideas are 2 of expression and 2 of understanding. So the two-way street is actually a 4-lane highway. And when it comes to expression, we have the 2 skills of speaking and writing. Those are the ways we get ideas in us out into the world. When it comes to understanding or receiving expressed ideas, we have the skills of listening and reading. Now, some people may be deficient or unable to even perform or drive on one of those lanes, and that's perfectly fine. That does not negate you or stop you from learning English, because there's other modes. There's other modes of expression, at least one, and there's other modes of understanding, at least one. If you are deficient in one entire direction or another, well, then there's other options of communication open to you, but this channel will probably not help too much because, as I already stated, I'm not very proficient in any other language abilities. So that's my limitation. Those are the three principles that we want to lay as the bedrock, as the foundation, as the groundwork for whatever scaffolding we build with other grammar rules. So just to recap, the first one, words have meaning. The second one, dissent is necessary, and that falls under the idea of free speech is an important concept, it's an important role within any sort of communication relationship. So words have meaning, free speech is important. Wrapped up in that is the idea of dissent. So again, I don't want you to think of this as having exceptions to the bedrock, exceptions to the principle, but there's a lot to unpack in that second one. Maybe we'll get there one day, but please just know that is a grounding principle of this channel. Free speech. The third one is communication is a two-way street, a four-lane highway. There are those four skills that we're going to be focusing on. In terms of expression, they are speaking and writing. In terms of understanding or receiving expression, it is listening and reading. All of those ideas, all of those concepts will be what we build on from here on out. I'm sure I'll be referencing them probably annoyingly constantly in ways, but you heard them here first. Hopefully this is a journey that you are willing to take with me. I look forward to making more content, but those are the principles I'll be standing on. Hopefully you will too.